Hello and welcome to TidyX, where we're not doing an episode. We're actually going to do a conference recap. As always, my name's Ellis Hughes.
And my name is Patrick Ward. Thanks for checking in with us here at TidyX. As always, be sure to like and subscribe on that YouTube channel. Click the link down below, and we're always super stoked to have you. And that is a great place to get in touch with us. Also, we do have a Patreon page, and if you've enjoyed our work and you felt like it's helped your work and you'd like to donate to the show, we are always open for that. That said, we're going to jump into Posit Conf 2023,
Yep,
which is the big kind of our conference that
yep.
happens every year. Ellis is a frequent attendee. I've yet to attend because they always hold it during the start of the NFL season, so I'm always working. And maybe this episode, we'll see how much reach we really have. This episode is enough to get them to try and put it in an NFL offseason.
Ooh, maybe.
Right,
We'll
right,
see.
right.
But yeah, Posit Conf 2023. Posit Conf is, as Patrick said, an annual conference where they bring together folks from all across the R community to talk about really cool things that they're doing with R and try to inspire the rest of us to learn various things about R, to bring stories together. And so it's always a lot of fun, always a great group of people that are attending. I know that I've really enjoyed every year that I've gone and met very fun people that I have enjoyed meeting year after year and coming back and catching up with them again. So PositConf is definitely one of my favorite conferences that I attend because of the people there. I mean, the talks are fantastic as well, and the talks are really high quality, um, which we'll get into later. But for me, it's really the people that make the conference. Um, which brings up the 2024 conference, which Patrick, do you want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, so the 2024 conference is going to be here in our hometown, Seattle, which is super exciting for us because hopefully it means we'll get to meet many of the people that watch the show and get to talk with many of our heroes in the R coding industry. And, like Ella said, this is the talks are, very very sound at this event. And you can go on YouTube. They've done a great job of making sure that there's a high amount of accessibility to many of the talks in prior years. So I don't think the 2023 ones are up just quite yet, but just go onto YouTube and type in PositConf, or I think before that it was our Studio Conf, and you're going to find just a whole host of talks from a lot of great software developers whose packages you use every day and might not even know it.
And you'll learn about how they think about things, the problem solving that they do, as well as the tools that they use when
Right.
they're building their own packages, so that you can kind of start, or not even just packages, just software development in general. You can start integrating into their work. So yeah, so I'm really excited for it to be in Seattle. Really looking forward to being in my hometown. Seattle's a great city. If none of you have been here before, so. But yeah, 2023 was in Chicago, though. Chicago had, a lot of deep dish, a lot of great conversations, a lot of fun. Um, to be part of that. Is to my part in the conference as well. I wasn't just attending and in meeting a bunch of really cool folk. I had some jobs to do while I was there. So first off, I was part of a workshop, the leveraging Farmiverse workshop, which was talking about using tools from the Farmiverse to do end-to-end workflows of SDDM to Atom datasets. For most of our viewers, I don't think that will mean a whole bunch, but that's the world that I work in. I work in pharma industry, so not don't worry about knowing about that. And I also attended our pharma summit as well. Again, it was a lot of fun seeing folks from the pharma industry attending the conference and coming together to talk about their ways they're using R is always a lot of fun. But I think for the attendee or the viewers of TidyX, I don't know how many of them are pharma folk. If you are, leave a comment down below. I'd love to see who's in pharma and watching TidyX. And then I also had the opportunity, which is why I say the talks are so great, is I gave a talk this last year as well. I was talking about my involvement with the GT package that Rich Iannone developed. I added the word output abilities into GT. So I was talking about my experience working with Rich. The reason that I think adding Word to GT is important, and the value of when you see a problem in an open source package that you use regularly, rather than just having an issue and throwing it over the fence to the developer, getting involved with that and having them understand what your problem is and being willing to help, being willing to participate in that R package or any sort of software that you find useful for your own use, um, and want to add a new feature into it. Just throwing it over the fence, it kind of works, but getting involved and really getting to know that software, you become such a better user of that tool. And so hopefully people got that out of the talk. Um,
We should really do an episode on GT outputting to Word. We've done a number of episodes on GT. It's a nice package for making tables that are primarily static. The DT tables we generally have used in our Shiny apps because they're interactive. The GT tables are wonderful for making static tables, and being able to output them to Word, I think would have a lot of utility for making nice research ready tables. If you're if you're writing a scientific manuscript and you're preparing it for submission, it looks a lot cleaner than it does if you were to try and build the table in Word itself, or build the table in Microsoft Excel and then make a little screen grab and paste it in. So it is, we should do a thing.
yeah, leave a comment down below if that'd be something you're interested in. Yeah, and Rich has done a fantastic job of adding really cool capabilities into GT, both on the R coding side as well as the HTML that it uses on the other side, where now there is the ability to make it interactive. Patrick, I don't know if you've seen that recently. That was a recent update
I
to the
know it
dev
was
version.
yeah, we had talked about that. I didn't know it was finished. I know that it was in the works.
Yeah,
That's
so really, really cool stuff going on there. As well as part of meeting folks that at the conference, I also had the opportunity to meet a lot of you, the viewers. And and a lot of them a lot of folks came up and said how much they've appreciated TidyX. And I want to say how much I appreciate you for A, being a viewer, and B, telling me how much you enjoy this. I mean, oftentimes as creators here on this platform, we create something and send it out into the ether and hope that it helps somebody. We don't often hear back saying how much it actually has improved your understanding of something, how whether it helped you get a job, understand something that you've been struggling with for a long time. And so for us to hear that is so valuable, and it's really reinvigorating our passion for doing this. I know every time somebody came up and said, "Oh, I watched IDX. I really loved this episode," I texted Patrick like, "Oh, I met a person. They watch it. They love it." Just so it doesn't go to deaf ears to us to hear from you all. That you're enjoying this, as well as meeting some folks that we actually answered some of their questions directly. They actually wrote in, and we answered their issues in the screencast directly, and I got to meet them. They were fantastic people, and it just means the world to us that we're able to help you.
Mhm.
So with that, we're going to now talk a little bit, switch gears into some of the talks that actually there. We're not going to talk more about my talk. I've had my moment in the spotlight right now. But we're going to talk about some of the recordings. Patrick and I watched them together. But I know there are user groups that are doing viewings of the videos. If you live in an area that has a user group, definitely look to get involved with them, because that is a fantastic opportunity to meet more R programmers, as well as get opportunities to potentially do early viewings, which is what we did. So Patrick, I know you had a talk that you were excited about that you wanted to discuss here a little bit.
Yeah, Joe Chang gave a talk about what was referred to as serverless Shiny, and so Shiny is something that we've done a whole bunch with on this episode, on this screencast, and we've had a lot of great feedback. Just like Ellis, whenever I went to a few conferences this off season and spoke, and people come up and they say, "I watched the show, and our team built a Shiny app based on your episode and your series," and so. We've done a lot of Shiny, and it's really awesome to get that kind of feedback. And one of the things with Shiny is that you have to have it attached to a server so that it can interactively pull data and update as the user, inputs their query inputs, right?
Hmm.
One of the ways we sort of tried to cross that chasm was we did a few um, Flex dashboards, which are essentially like an R Markdown file, but allow some interactivity. And we did DT tables and Plotly inside of those, and built a nice report that's interactive. So there are some episodes on interactive reports that we've done. The issue with that is it's not really an issue, I guess. The limitation with that is that the data for that interactive report is housed in that report. There's really nothing to update. You can't call a different query or get other information outside of whatever was built into that markdown file. So Joe Chang's talk really is like the next step. And that's, we're going to try and allow you to build your Shiny serverless. So you don't need to have a server anymore. You can legit run Shiny inside of your markdown file, inside of your Flex dashboard file. You can run it inside of there just like you normally would without the server, but it behaves in all the same ways that you would expect Shiny to behave.
To be clear, it still has a server code that you're writing your R code in.
It does,
It
yes.
is it is using WASM and
Mhm.
WebR. So WASM is WebAssembly, which is the language of the browsers that is not JavaScript.
Mm.
Joe does a great job explaining all this, by the way. Whenever this video comes out, or whenever Joe's video comes out, I highly suggest you watch it to actually try to understand what's going on. We're trying to
Mhm.
give a superficial explanation of it.
The other nice part about it is there's options for Pythonistas as well. So the serverless Shiny option, Joe also goes over. Not only is for our folk, but there is an entire Python-based approach to doing this. Um, so I think with that talk, I think that kind of like got my head thinking about what kind of new Shiny screencasts can we do, episodes can we do in the future. And so I think we're going to try and delve into some things. I've been trying to solve a few Shiny problems lately for things that I've been working on. And so I'd like to share those because maybe they're problems and hurdles that other people have had. And we're going to kind of dovetail that into this whole serverless Shiny so that we ourselves can understand a little bit about how it works, because I think the talk was interesting. It was motivating, but it's not something we haven't used it yet. So that's we're gonna see what we can figure out, and you get to learn with us.
Yeah,
So that's
exactly. You got to see as we learn, as we figure out things, you will be the first to know. Yeah, there's also a website, I believe it's shinylive.org or shinylive.com or something like that, that has some examples of running Shiny apps directly in the browser that you can update and it live. So if you want to learn about that before going and watching Joe's talk explaining how it all works, you can go check those out. We'll put a link to the actual website in the description down there. Yeah, and then definitely let us know if you have any ideas of how you might use a serverless Shiny app for your own use cases, and we'd love to try to help figure out how we can share it with the rest of the world. Next, the talk that I want to touch on was a talk by Tom Mock about RStudio IDE's Copilot integration. I've never used Copilot, admittedly, but I think it brings up a lot of important discussions. So the talk itself is, I mean, in the name. So RStudio, in one of their latest builds, they've integrated the ability to use GitHub Copilot in the as you're coding. So it's going to be reading the code that you have in your script and the comments and send that to the GitHub Copilot API and then come back and make a suggestion for code that you could be entering in based on all the prior code you've written and all the prior comments you have, as well as this current comment describing the next piece of code that you're going to be trying to write. And so, I think the best thing is it really enforces you using good commenting and coding structure. You want simple, specific, and consistent. I think Tom has a like a good acronym for the way that you should be interacting with GitHub Copilot. But I think generally speaking, the idea of having well commented code, having it simple and specific, is just good practice as a developer. So I think it really pushes, it gives you those like good feels when it's going to provide that suggestion, and potentially a good suggestion because you're following good practice. And so it's kind of a self-fulfilling loop of good code means you get better suggestions. But also, of course, some of that is it is you need to understand what's going on. And that's the thing about like generative AI and LLMs. I'm not going to get into a full discussion about
Hmm.
that because that is a whole can of worms that I am not prepared to jump into. But I think in my uses of the various AI, generative AI tools and whatnot, the feeling that I am getting at this point is it is a great tool. There's no question. It is super helpful, but it's a tool. I think as developers, it provides an opportunity to quickly get some boilerplate code out and move past that, or it allows you to, if you get stuck and you're stuck on an issue and you're like, I just can't solve this, I just don't know where to start. You can work with the generative AI client and have it make suggestions for you. And ultimately, you still need to understand what's going on because any code that it produces, even if you copy and paste, there's no guarantee that it runs. You need to still understand what it's doing to make sure it's actually solving the problem that you have. But I think that there's a lot of great opportunities in that for people that are experienced and trying to move quickly through their code. As a new user, I know it's been help. I know I've met a lot of people that have used generative AI for they're new at programming and they don't know the correct function, and it's able to get them going. But anytime I talk to them, they're like, "Yeah, but I don't know what the code actually does." It's because they didn't take the time to learn it. And so, if you're a new developer, don't just blindly take any generative AI code and run it and call it good. I don't know. That's just at least my feeling and kind of why we have this series, right? Is we're trying to explain how code works. Is try to understand what the intent is, so that in the future you're able to code it yourself, and you don't have to take the time to go out to that client there to get the answer. You're able to understand it and able to go, oh, I know this pattern already. Let me type that together. And then when you see it, you're able to debug it and be a better programmer for it. And so I think there's a lot of opportunities in that, in bringing new ideas in, but I think ultimately we still need to be responsible for our own code, um, with that, as well as some folks. And this was asked in questions in after Thomas's talk was about privacy, because of course those of us that work in industries that are very concerned about data privacy, generative AI is a hot topic.
Hmm.
Again, not going to get into that. Um, but it sounds like it's understood that that is a potential concern. And it sounded like there were potential solutions that they were coming up with to try to make it so you could toggle whether Copilot was, or what files Copilot was going to be using and whatnot if you use Copilot through the RStudio IDE and whatnot. Obviously, do not copy and paste your company's code and send it to any of these generative AI clients. Not good times, man.
Take a toy example.
Yes, make an example of the type of solution you're trying to come to, or a generic version, not the specific stuff that you've got in your company's code base. Um, so with that, those were two talks. There are of course hundreds of fantastic talks and lightning talks, really exciting keynotes as well. That once the videos get released, I know I will be suggesting people go to watch that didn't attend Posit Conf, to go see. Um, with that, I don't think I have anything else to add. We somehow filled 20 minutes of a recap of a conference.
Yeah.
Patrick?
No, I think that about says it all. Those are two really interesting talks, and we're excited to get back next week and kick off a little bit of Shiny
Yeah.
with a problem that I was working on, and hopefully that'll lead us down the road of doing some serverless Shiny.
All right. Thank you all so much. As always, my name is Ellis Hughes, and you can find me on various social media sites at Ellis_Hughes.
And my name's Patrick Ward. You can find me on X at OSPPatrick, at tidy_explained is the place where you can find the screencast on X. And of course, liking and subscribing on the YouTube channel, the easiest/fastest way to get in touch with us and have us answer your questions. Finally, if you enjoy the show and you would like to donate to support our work, we are always grateful of anything that you'd give to our Patreon page. And that said, thanks for checking in at TidyX.
Thank you all so much, and keep on exploring your world.